Hello, I'm Denise Galoni. Welcome to today's episode of Empowering You. I'm really honored today that my guest is Jim Shorkey. Many of you may know Jim Shorkey from the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, but there's a lot more about Jim Shorkey. After achieving incredible success in the automobile industry, he exited the business, ceding control of the company to yet another generation, his family, his children. Jim has a new venture, Results from Thinking, and I really love this line in his bio. Cars may be in his blood, but giving back is in his heart. And with his new venture, Jim Shorkey gets to do just that. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Jim, whenever I decided to do the show Empowering You, you were at the top of my list of people I wanted to talk to. Because
Well, that's very nice.
when I met you a few years ago and you told a story about the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, and people may look at that, and you have a number of dealerships now. Was it 9, 10? I'm not even sure how many.
10 dealerships.
But it wasn't always that way, was it?
No, not at all. And, a lot of people don't believe the story. They kind of have a hard time believing it. And
Right.
So I have to tell it the best way that I can. But my father started our business in 1974, and he ran the business very successfully for 22 years. My dad died very suddenly, literally dropped dead on March 24th, 1996. And I often say candidly, if I was half as smart as I thought I was when my dad died, I would have been pretty darn smart.
Right.
I was the heir apparent of the business. I was the Johnny on the spot. And so I decided to run the business the way I thought the business should be run. I didn't want any help. I didn't want any advice. I knew what I was doing. I was so confident in that idea. Well, that said, 2 years later, I ended up bankruptcy imminent within the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. The business was in very, very bad financial condition, and I messed up. I messed up big time. And so I, decided, due to the desperation of that moment, imagine this was my dad's business.
Right.
And he
I
ran
can't
for 22
imagine.
years.
Right.
And now I'm the son. My name is Jim Shorkey Jr. My dad was Jim Shorkey. And I mean, there's a lot to that. It's a family business. And due to my missteps, mainly being arrogant, I knew more than anybody. And so I'm arrogant, knew more than anybody, and I just didn't want any help, ended up bankruptcy imminent. So I had to figure out a way out of that. And I was reading a book at the time called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is a self-help classic written in 1937.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that Napoleon Hill told me in that book was to seek expert counsel. So I decided to go to Mr. Hamilton, who was my dad's former partner, actually brought my dad into the automobile business.
Oh, okay.
And I remember sitting down in front of his desk, and I told Mr. Hamilton that I was lost. I didn't know what I was doing. And could he give me a list of 10 things that he would recommend that I do to be a successful automobile dealer? And so he said, okay, he called me James. He said, James, let me think about that. Come back tomorrow morning. I'll have a list for you. So I went back the next day, and he gave me my list, and I went to work on that list. And, the needle started to move just a little bit. But I could see that I was, on the right path. And this was a period of days, not instant, but it started doing the disciplines. And I started to see some things happen. So I also reached out to Chrysler Financial, GMAC, Irwin Bank and Trust at the time, NADA, which is National Auto Dealers Association, my accountant, Tom Eugen, Al Lazar, all these different people. And I kept asking, like, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And out of all that questioning, I came up with this idea of what I should have been doing, number one, and number two, the things that I should not have been doing. So when I looked at those two lists, I wasn't doing enough good things, and I was doing too many bad things, or wrong things, I should say, So once I got that figured out and I started to get those disciplines into play, and I started to do them every day and every week and every month, the needle moved dramatically. And so, 1998 was a bloodbath. We lost a lot of money at the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. We were already in bad financial shape. We lost a lot of money because I was restructuring, and then went into 1999, and it was a record profit year. We made more money in 1999 than ever in the history of the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group, and never went below that bar again after that, and went on to do really, really great things. So what happened was, out of the ashes of bankruptcy imminent, this phoenix grew, which is the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group of today. And so my message to anybody that would listen to this is that if I can do it, anybody can do it. Anybody could go in and sit down with Mr. Hamilton or somebody like that and say, you know what, you know what you're doing. Tell me what I should be doing. And so I really do believe in my heart that anybody could do what I did. I really believe that. And that's why I'm here today, is to preach that message that, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, if you find somebody who is smarter than you and have a conversation and they, you know, teach you what they did to be successful the way they are, then if you copy them, you're going to be successful as well. So that's my message to the world today. And that's what Results from Thinking is all about.
Jim, that's interesting, because it seems like such an easy solution. Let me just go to people that know what they're doing. But a lot of people don't do that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think some people say, well, this just isn't working and that's it? They just stop. Why don't they take that extra step like you did?
I think inside of us, you know, we have this intuitive thing that says, I don't want any help. And
right.
It's a huge
I can do it
mistake.
myself. Right.
Yeah, it's a huge mistake. It's, you know, you hear this idea of trial and error. So trial and error is a really, really bad idea. You don't want to do trial and error. Why? Number one, the trials take way too long and the errors can be devastating.
Right.
So I was kind of fortunate that I was bankruptcy imminent, that I was demoralized, that I was sad, that I did feel bad about myself. And so one thing I did know at that time was there was no room for trial and error. There was no room for any more missteps. More missteps, I'm gone.
Right.
So I had to humble up and go see Mr. Hamilton and ask for help. And so I learned a very critical lesson there, is that the answer is to get out of your own way and go ask for that help. That really is the answer. And so once I figured it out, I'm willing to go to anybody to ask for help. And so, you know, we have three fundamental rules in the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. And the third rule is to keep it very, very, very humble. That's our third rule. And what I found is that arrogance is the number one enemy of any successful enterprise, be it a church, be it a marriage, be it a business, be it relationships, be it health. Arrogance is the number one enemy of any successful enterprise. And if you check me out in this, you'll find that to be a fundamental truth. Arrogance is a really, really bad thing. It turns people off, it repels people, whether you know, your team, your lover, whoever it is. Arrogance is a really, really big problem. So I decided back in 1998, I knew what I did. I knew I was arrogant. I knew I was a know-it-all. And I said, and I remember thinking, if I could just get out of this, I will never be arrogant again. Never. And do I get arrogant? Of course I do, but I have to, you know, witness that and observe that and slap myself on the head and say, Jim, stop, because this is not a good thing. So arrogance is not a good thing. Hence the rule, keep it very, very, very humble. That is really a lifelong mission of mine right now, is to do that. And as I keep it humble, then I'm able to free myself up to say, you know what? I'm not as smart as I think I am.
Right.
I'm going to go ask Denise for some help. And as a further adjunct to that thought, if you are the smartest lady in the room,
you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. You need to get out of that room. Get around people who are healthier than you are. Get around people who have better relationships than you have. Get around people who have more money than you have, and then ask a lot of questions. And pretty soon you'll start to see the clues. You know, successful people always leave clues. Unsuccessful people always leave clues. So you study successful people, you say, oh, geez, they're all doing the same kind of things. And you study unsuccessful people, and you say, you know what, they're all doing the same kind of things to be unsuccessful. And so don't do that crap and do the successful stuff, and you're on your way. Yeah. So it is simple. It really is.
It is simple. So we met through Think and Grow Rich. We were going to a mastermind group, and that book really changed your life when you picked that up.
It did.
And I know when I had it for years, I just never read it, just never got to it. It sat on my bookshelf, and I could just kick myself for all that time it sat
the
there.
book you don't read won't help you. I think Jim Rohn said that. The book you don't read won't help you. Yeah,
Right.
Yep.
But you've really taken Think and Grow Rich and just applied it to all areas of your life, haven't you?
I have, yeah. Well, the book was written in 1937, and Napoleon Hill, over a 25-year span, interviewed 500 of the wealthiest people in America.
Great.
But he also, a lot of people don't realize this, he interviewed 10,000 of unsuccessul people, and he figured out, based on those interviews over that 25-year stretch, what to do and what not to do. Now, remember, this was written in 1937 at the height of the Great Depression, and so he wanted to write a book to teach people how to make money. So that's hence the title, Think and Grow Rich. But that said, he tells you in the book that this is not only how you can make money, but to how you can achieve any goal that you would have in life. So it's not necessarily just about money, even though that was a big focus of the book. So here I am, bankruptcy imminent, and there's this book, Think and Grow Rich, and I'm thinking to myself, as I look at that title even, like, wow, I want that. I'm bankruptcy imminent. Like, I want to be rich, at least richer than bankruptcy imminent, certainly, right? Now, I didn't even know what rich meant, but I know that bankruptcy imminent was definitely the antithesis of rich, right? So anyways, I started to execute the book. I decided that Napoleon Hill was going to be my expert counsel. Napoleon Hill was going to be my mentor, even though he was long dead at that time. But I was going to do exactly what he told me to do. I made that commitment. And I did do exactly what he told me to do. And one of those things he told me to do was to go talk to Mr. Hamilton.
Right.
That's what he told me. Go find somebody who is smart and ask them questions. That's what I did. So anyways, I started reading the book, and he tells you very clearly in the book to read the book. He says, before you put the book down, read the book 3 times, because then you're not going to want to stop. Well, I just finished reading it for the 143rd time.
Right.
And I'm in the process of reading it for the 144th time. And I have a very specific mission behind reading the book for the 144th time that I didn't have the first time. And so the book becomes a different book. And I don't even like to call it a book, because it's really not a book. It's an operator's manual.
Oh,
It's an instruction manual for how to design your own life, for how Jim Shorkey can design his own life. So I'm 63 years old, and I'm reading this book with the idea in mind of, how am I going to design my life for the next 60 years? Because I have a very specific aging goal. I want to live to be 122 years old.
Right.
Where did I get that from? Well, there's a lady, her name is Jean Clamou, and I think I'm pronouncing it properly, from France. She's the oldest documented living person at 122. That said, many, many, many people over the millennia have lived to be 100 years old and older. So my moonshot is 122. Does that mean I get to 122? Well, of course it doesn't mean that. Right. But I have to take, specific steps, just like bankruptcy imminent at 63. I've got to take specific steps moving forward to get to that goal, or I should say, to give myself the best probability of achieving that goal. Because that's really what this is all about. It's about probability. It's about mathematics. What can I do to give myself the best chance of getting out of bankruptcy imminent? What can I do to give myself the best chance of having a great marriage? What can I do to give myself the best chance of getting to 122? And I can tell you one little detail. This is organic peppermint tea that I'm drinking here this morning. It's not Coca-Cola. It's not, because Coca-Cola is not going to get me to 122.
Right.
Organic peppermint tea is going to give me a better chance at getting to 122. So I don't drink soda, pop, whatever we call that in Pittsburgh. I don't drink it, but I do drink this.
Jim, talk about, for a few minutes, results from thinking, your new venture that you're involved with.
Okay, so I know what happened to me, and it was incredible what happened. I mean, it was unbelievable. The Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group just literally exploded, and since I left, it's actually doubled in size. So, it's unbelievable what can happen when you get on this idea. So, I always knew that I wasn't the smartest guy in the room. I always knew that I wasn't the most talented guy in the room. And I always knew that the reason I failed is because I had a bad plan. And
Mhm.
so once I figured out that plan, the thing blew up. But the point is though, is that if I can fail, then anybody can fail. And if I
Sure.
can succeed, then anybody can succeed. And I felt that if I
Right.
took this knowledge to my grave with me, that I would be the most selfish person in the world. So I would say probably 15 years ago, I have an entry in my journal that someday I'm going to start a training company. And the basis of this training company is the idea of give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a woman how to fish, you feed her for a lifetime. And that was going to be the basis of this little company. I didn't
Yeah.
have a name for it. We came up with that name. But the point is that I want to teach people how to do what I did, because I really do believe that people can do what I did in whatever they're trying to pursue if they just knew how to do it. And
Right.
so it's like you said, it sounds pretty simple. Well, you know what? It really is pretty simple. It's
Yeah.
about this idea that my successful actions lead me to my success. My unsuccessful actions lead me to my failure. And so we have to double down on the successful actions and double down on not doing the unsuccessful actions. And I
Right.
believe we got to be at least at 80-20, 80 successful, 20 unsuccessful would be the bare minimum, but preferably 90-10, and ideally 100-0, but that's pretty hard to attain. I open up my day every morning with sunrise, rise and shine, and I mean it, rise and shine. I'm here to shine today. I'm going to shine. So when I wake up, it's rise and shine, mean it. And then I always have this thought that my journey always begins today. It didn't begin yesterday, and it
Mhm.
doesn't begin tomorrow. It begins today. And so I start my day with perfection. I want to have the perfect day. I don't want to do any dumb crap, and I want to do all smart stuff. At the end of the day, I do an analysis of my day. I call it disciplined journaling, and I analyze what did I do? Was I at 90-10? Was I at 95-5? Or was I at 70-30, which is mediocrity? So I analyze my day, grade myself. I do gratitude journaling every day, which is, what am I grateful for
Right.
today? What brought me calm today? And what are 3 highlights to my day? This is a highlight to my day. Having this interview is a highlight
Uh,
to my day. It's also something I may decide to say, well, this is what I'm grateful for. I have so much to be grateful for.
Oh,
Sometimes it's
absolutely.
hard to narrow it down. But at
Me.
any rate, and then I consciously make a decision that I'm going to set my intentions for tomorrow, regardless of whether I was perfect today or imperfect in terms of like A, B, C, D. If I'm an A, I set my intentions for tomorrow to be perfect. If I was an F, I set my intentions for tomorrow to be perfect. And then it starts over again. It's called a 24-hour reset. So I only live this one day at a time. It's a 24-hour reset. So I start off again tomorrow with the same idea that my journey always begins today. But I go to bed with the idea that I did what I did. I don't beat up Jim Shorkey. Never, 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 never do I
Right.
beat up Jim Shorkey. That's pointless. So
And I think
that's,
that that's easy to do. I mean, sometimes we
it
beat
is easy
ourselves
to
up.
do.
Why did I do that? Why did I do that? But like you said, the next day is a reset, a whole new
For
day.
me, it is. It really is. Do I beat up Jim Shorkey? Of course I do, but it's
Sure.
never good. It's always, and that, again, that's back to that good things, bad things. It's always the wrong thing to do to beat up Jim Shorkey, because there's just no point to it. And all it does is mess me up. So when I do it, I've got to get that fixed really, really quick, because that will put me into a downward spiral. And that's hence the 24-hour reset. If I am beating myself up, I got to say, hey, Jim, stop,
Right.
stop, 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 because you're not going to sleep good, and sleep is important. So I got to maybe reflect back again, maybe do a little bit more gratitude journaling. Like, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for, I mean, even though I was 60-40, so that's an F, but I did do, 60% good stuff today. What did I
Right.
do good? So I just got to get into that reset before I go to bed and think in terms of reset. And then when I get up in the morning, when you say rise and shine, that's such a neat thing to say,
It
but I
is.
think we say it, but we don't really mean it. So
Right.
I mean it. I want to rise. I want to shine. I want to get out and look at the sun. I want to be in nature in the morning. I did it this morning. I was drinking my coffee with my wife, Amy, and we do a coffee celebration virtually every morning, and we sit, no cell phones, we drink our coffee, we listen. And Amy was saying this morning, listen to the birds. Isn't that cool? There's so many different sounds. So it really is shining. I am shining. And so I've done a lot of things so far today, pre you and I having this discussion, to shine. I want to shine today. You know, I want to shine. I don't care. Well, it's raining. Great. Well, there's a tornado. Great. I mean, it's my day. This is my day to shine. And what can I do today to shine?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Jim, you provided so much advice and insightfulness and so much during this interview. I do want to read the last line of your bio, because I think it just sums everything up. It sums everything up. Cars may be in his blood, but giving back is in his heart. And with his new venture, Jim Shorkey gets to do just that.
Yeah,
and I think that's what you do. You just give back and you help people because you've been there.
Yeah, well, you know, there's some truth to what I'm going to say next. It sounds kind of counterintuitive to what I've said so far, but you know, I often say that I just ran out of ways to screw it up. You know, I ran out of ways to screw it up, and so I finally landed on what I figured out what doesn't work, which leads you to what does work. But that said, I don't recommend that for you, Denise. I don't. What I recommend you do is to copy a successful person. You know, I did that, but I didn't necessarily do it in the best way I could. There was some trial and error in there. And I think trial and error, no matter what, you're going to have trial and error, because what Mr. Hamilton told me to do, either I didn't understand it or maybe it wasn't right for me. So there is going to be some stuff that expert counsel is going to tell you to do that causes that trial and error type thing. But still, I probably, over my experience, did too much trial and error. And I could have, if when my dad died, if I'd have been on expert counsel, holy cow! I think that 2 years was trial and error. Well, you saw what happened there. So I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy about that. If that makes
everything
sense.
that we've done and the mistakes that we made has brought us to where we are today, and I believe that.
But I have to say, I don't think it's necessary for anybody to make mistakes. I really don't. And so I have a program called Rethink You, which is exactly that. So your thinking, your brain is what led you to where you're at today. Okay. Right. And so that process of thinking, thoughts, feelings, actions, results, thoughts, feelings, actions. So I shouldn't say that. Thoughts, feelings, actions led you to this result right here. And so in order for me to get a new result, I have to change my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. And so that's why I didn't even name this program Rethink You. A consortium of people named it that. That was their idea. I thought, that's a great idea, Rethink You, because in essence, here I am sitting here, and this is the result. This right here is the result. And so if I want to change this result, I can't keep doing what I've been doing. You've heard that a million times. If you keep on doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep on getting what you've been getting. And so in order for me to get a different result, I've got to change what I've been doing. In order to do that, I've got to change my thinking about what I've been doing, which is going to change my feelings about what I've been doing. And then that's going to change my actions. Actions are the key to everything. It's not thinking, it's not feelings, it's actions. But the problem is the actions are a result of our thoughts and our feelings. But at the end of the day, you got to do the push-ups, you got to do the jumping jacks, and you can't eat Fruit Loops today. You can't. You got to drink the peppermint tea and pass on the Fruit Loops. And that's really the essence of what I am saying with this idea called Rethink You. And it really is my effort to say, okay, here's what I did. I want the very, very best for you, Denise, the very best. And so here's what I did. If you just do what I tell you to do, then you're going to be successful beyond your wildest imagination. That said, I want the stories. Right. I want the testimonials. I've had a great day today anyways, but I had like 3 or 4 people reach out to me to say, wow, what you're doing is unbelievable. And that doesn't happen every day. Sometimes I get criticized, by the way, and I'm probably overly sensitive, but I don't like it because I don't want that. I was talking to a gentleman this morning who's a really, really good guy, and I said to him, I said, you know, I don't want to be a jerk. I really don't. I want to do the right thing.
Mhm.
I want to do the right thing. I don't want to be a jerk. So if I'm a jerk, tell me I'm a jerk and let me fix it, because I don't want to be a jerk. And so my message today really is about just helping people to have a better sense of health, to have a better sense of love, and to have a better sense of abundance. And I will tell you point blank, Denise, if you're wealthy and you're unhealthy, you bought the wrong darn program.
Right.
If you're wealthy and you're lonely, you bought the wrong program. I want to be healthy. I want to have great love, which is my reason why I want to be healthy. And I want to have enough money to do the things I want to do. But it's got to be a combination of those three. You know,
Right.
I don't want to be wealthy / jerk. I don't.
Right.
So that's what I teach.
Jim, this has been a wonderful interview. We're going to have your contact information, so if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can.
They sure
And
can.
they can also find you on Facebook, because you do Facebook videos every day, don't you?
Yeah, I'm probably a bit annoying. I do them every day at 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's about a half an hour video. And it's right now we're doing a deep dive into Think and Grow Rich. Of course, you know, my favorite book in terms of what
Absolutely.
I did. And I do quotes on the weekend. I do two shorter videos. These videos during the week are a half hour long, roughly, unless I get to ranting, and they can be like 32 or 33 minutes. I always rant because I'm so excited about this information.
Right,
But on the
right.
weekends, I do a quote. I love quotes. I'm a big quote guy.
Yeah, me too.
And one of my favorite quotes by Napoleon Hill is, "Desire backed by faith knows no such war as impossible." Desire backed by faith knows no such war as impossible. My question to you and the audience here today is, what if that's true? What if that's true? What if desire backed by faith knows no such war as impossible? Okay, so how do we turn impossible into possibility?
Right.
How do we turn impossible into possible? By growing our desire and by growing our faith. So if we grow our desire, which means I want this, and we grow our faith, which means I can do this, then we're going to be able to turn impossible into possible. And surprisingly, this little company called Results from Thinking is a seed, and it's got this gestation thing going on right now.
Right.
And so I have my doubts. And so in order for me to grow this little company into something special to help people, I have to increase my desire to do it. I have to increase my faith to do it. And I actually have an affirmation that I'm working on right now that I don't quite have memorized yet, but it's I got it from Wallace Wattles, written in 1907, and I have it in my pocket. And I'll just say this is my last words for today.
Okay.
But I believe in affirmations very, very strongly. So let me see if I have it memorized, because I've been working on memorizing, and I may have to refer to it. I can succeed.
Mm.
Anything that is possible to anyone is possible to me. I am successful. I do succeed, for I am full of the power of success. I can do anything I want to do. Once I get this locked into my brain, I'll be repeating this daily, 10, 20 times a day, because
Yeah.
this is part of the process. It's me convincing me that I can do this interview, that I can do these videos, that I can help that one very important person. That's my idea. And I do that. I mean, the affirmations are just one of the disciplines. You can't do affirmations all day long. You got to throw in a few push-ups. You got to throw in a few jumping jacks.
Right.
You can't do affirmations all day long. That's not going to work. But they should be a part of your schedule of disciplines.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and share your knowledge with the audience. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I wish you continued success professionally, personally, everything. Thank you for watching today's episode of Empowering You. I'd like to thank my guest, Jim Shorkey. While Jim provided so much insight and knowledge in this short amount of time for this interview, I hope what Jim shared inspires and empowers you to live your best and live your dreams. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.